Hello, my name is Tiara Sharma, and I am the host and producer of Restore Hearts TV. Today on Restore Hearts, we are continuing our conversation on grief. And today, more specifically, we will concentrate on grief and motherhood. And so, if you have watched any of the first three episodes, this is episode 4. So, if you watched any of the first 3 episodes, you know that I am a what? Visual learner. And so I have prepared I have prepared a PowerPoint for today's discussion to give some information regarding grief and motherhood. So I am going to share my screen so we can get this conversation started. All right. So we are talking about motherhood and grief today. And listen, this picture right here, I thought it was so profound. When I saw it, I was just wowed by what this means, um, to feel chained to your children, to feel like you um, are unable to move, to feel like your child is a restriction. These are all feelings, these are all emotions that come up during motherhood. And sometimes, because that emotion is so strong, a lot of women don't want to admit or want to speak about this part of motherhood and grief because you don't want to be, I put myself in there, we don't want to be labeled as a bad mother. Like, who wants the title of bad mother? Nobody. And so sometimes these difficult emotions that come up with motherhood, this grief, this grieving process that you need to go through with motherhood, a lot of these emotions may make you feel ashamed. It may make you feel guilty. It might make you feel um, less than as it relates to motherhood. And so I thought this was a powerful picture. Listen, I want you to let me know what you think about this picture. Let me know. All right, let's move forward. So, what is grief? We have been talking about grief for the past 2 weeks. Grief is deep sorrow, especially that caused by someone's death. Another definition of grief is the emotional suffering you feel when something or someone you love is taken away. Grief is an intense emotional experience triggered by loss. And so that's just for us to review and have our baseline of what is grief. And so, motherhood, let's look at motherhood. Motherhood is simply the state of being a mother, the qualities or spirit of a mother. So, the quality spirit of a mother would be nurturing, caring, protective. Those are some of those qualities and spirit of motherhood. And so, when as it relates to motherhood and grief, this is an intense emotional experience triggered by the losses you feel when you become a mother. And so, I don't know about anyone else, but when I became a mother, I did not know that grief was a part of the process that I needed to go through in order to acknowledge and process those losses that I felt when I transitioned into motherhood, when I became a mother. And so I thought that this was a very important topic for us to talk about because there may be mothers who were just like me, who are going through these cycles of grief as it relates to your new role as a mother. But remember, when we talked about emotions, we've been talking about emotions for the past 2 weeks, that emotions are in our subconscious. So we are not aware of them. So there are a lot of emotions that need to be dug up as it pertains to motherhood. So because we're not aware of these emotions, they are affecting our behavior, what we do, and they are affecting how we feel. And so we are doing things and we are having feelings that we are not aware of. And so that's why, on top of the hormonal changes, on top of everything that comes with becoming a mother, this is a big deal. This is huge to understand that you must grieve those parts of you that you felt you lost as a result of becoming a mother. I think that this is important as it relates to motherhood, because one of the things that our OBGYNs talk to us about as mothers during our pregnancy is postpartum depression. And so we talked about how grief and depression can look very similar. Grief and depression could look very similar. And so um, it's possible to think that you may be depressed when you actually are grieving. You need to grieve these losses that you have encountered as a result of stepping into your new role as a mother, and then vice versa. If you're not aware of grief, you may or depression, you may believe that you are experiencing grief when you're actually experiencing depression. So I think that when it comes to motherhood, these are things that we need to be aware of. Remember that grief is about a specific loss. These are emotions, this is sadness that you feel based on a specific loss. So I feel sad because of all these losses I feel as a result of becoming a mother. Depression is guilt unrelated to grief. So depression says, I'm a horrible mother. You see the difference? So we talked about that when we first started talking about grief. Depression, when it talks to these feelings of unworthiness, it is persistent. It comes with suicidal ideation, these depression, and those are those differences between grief and depression. And so you could actually be experiencing both, or one versus the other. So as always, listen, I want us to stay connected. Please, if you have not already joined my Facebook community, Restore Hearts TV community page, and because I want to talk to you, I want to know what you think about the different topics that are presented from week to week. So stop what you're doing right now, grab your phone, go to Facebook, and join the community so we can continue to have this conversation. Remember, the program is only 30 minutes and there is so much more to discuss, to digest um, after we've had this conversation and talk on this episode. And so let's continue the conversation. All right, listen, this is a picture of me pre motherhood on the left. So this picture was actually me and my husband. We were getting ready. He came back to Alabama to get me. We were moving to New York for a new job opportunity. So, we didn't have any kids. We just graduated college, and had been out of college a couple of years, and we could just up and leave. That's the freedom and independence that comes pre-motherhood. And so on the right, we have me and my two children. And so listen, it's not like that anymore. You don't just get up and go. You have to plan. You have to think about childcare. There's so many different layers to life as a mother. And so I wanted to bring up that difference, because this is some losses that we may feel as mothers um, when we transition into our new role. So I found this article which talks about everything that we've been talking about so far as mourning the loss of pre-parenthood you, by Amanda Hardy. And I think it was so great. It just really spoke to those things that I didn't have language to speak in the beginning of my motherhood journey. And so she says, what I hear parents talk about and what the research points to are three key areas of loss associated with the transition to parenthood: loss of freedom. We talked about that. I can't do what I want or need to do when or how I want. Loss of self identity. This baby has consumed me and I don't recognize myself anymore. Loss of social community. I'm isolated and alone. Those are huge. And so it says feeling a high level of freedom is linked to happiness and life satisfaction. People who feel a strong sense of freedom, personal autonomy, are more likely to report higher levels of life satisfaction and happiness. Well, guess what new parents aren't feeling? Freedom. Common descriptions of the first weeks and months postpartum are I feel trapped. I can't go anywhere or do anything. I am so overwhelmed. Listen, I've used all of those sayings and more to describe how I felt postpartum after I transitioned into motherhood because it is such a huge life transition that remember these are emotions that are in our subconscious that have not come to the surface yet. And so we don't know how to articulate them. Yet we're still feeling them. Yet we're still having behaviors that are telling that, hey, something's not right. And we're still having these thoughts and feelings that we're not able to quite explain to the people around us. And so I hope that there are some men watching this today because it will help bring some understanding to when you ask your wife what's going on. And I'm not condoning bad behavior. Listen, I've had to apologize to my husband for my behavior, for my words, but to understand that sometimes we are feeling emotions and there are things going on inside us that we just don't have language to express yet. I think having that understanding will help um, maybe smooth out some of those challenges that happen for marriages, for parents, especially during that first year, first 1 to 2 years. And so here are some reflections that I want you to write down. Like always, if you have a journal, if you have a notebook, this is a great time to grab that so you can write down these reflections to go over during the week to help you just reflect on some of the things that we've talked about today. And so, have you identified the losses you feel since you became a mother? It's going to be very important that you do this. And remember, what we've been talking about for the past 2 weeks is that it doesn't matter how big or small the loss feels. If it is important to you, if it feels like a loss to you, you need to pay attention to it. Do not dismiss it. Pay attention. Next, do you have a community that provides emotional and social support to you during this major life transition? Listen, community is going to be vital during this point. The research shows us that community, having someone to talk to, having someone to share your thoughts and share your emotions with, significantly decreases postpartum depression, which is considered a major depressive disorder now. There's not any distinction between the two. It's considered major depression. Um, it significantly decreases suicidal attempts because you're in community. You have a place where you can expose these thoughts, talk about these thoughts in a safe place, and so that these thoughts don't just go unchecked in your mind, that you don't keep cycling and cycling on these negative things. We call it ruminating. It means to go over something over and over and over and over again. But when you're in community, when you're in these safe places where you can talk, we get to break the cycle because you get to listen to someone, you get to get insight and feedback from someone who may be in a different place, who has a different perspective than you. What my therapist told me when I went to therapy, when I was having depression, anxiety, suicidal thoughts, you can't do depression alone, period. Because there's no one to check you. There's no one to check those thoughts those thoughts go unchecked. And so you keep going, keep going without any interruption. And what community does is allow you to speak and have that safe place where we can catch those thoughts before it gets too far. And so for our couples, I kind of went over this a little bit, but I want um it's important for us as mothers to understand that our husbands need to grieve too, because his life will never be the same. Just the same way that our lives will never be the same, his life will never be the same. And so we need to give him that space and give him that permission to grieve. Because he may be just like you didn't know that you needed to grieve, he may not understand that he needs to grieve too. And so it's important for both you and your husband to understand this because challenges do come. All right, let's talk about faith because this is a faith-based TV show, a faith-based network. So we don't want to leave you without some faith. All right, so there's two scriptures that have helped me along the way. And so I want to share those. That is Psalms 34, verse 18. It says, "The Lord is near to those who are discouraged. He saves those who have lost all hope." Listen, I'm a witness. If you didn't hear my testimony, gave a little bit of my testimony, my story in the first episode. So check out that first episode. Listen, near and dear to my heart. The second verse is John. Um, the second scripture is John chapter 11, verse 25 and 26. And this GNT stands for Good News Translation. So Jesus said to her, "I am the resurrection and the life. Those who believe in me will live even though they die. And those who live and believe in me will never die." Do you believe this? And so when I read this verse, listen, this is the truth. When you take on this role to become a mother, you will die to yourself. I don't know how else to put it. That's as plain as I can put it. You have to die to yourself because your life no longer belongs to you. You have taken on such a beautiful role to develop, to care for, to nurture another human being, another life. And so this is a great responsibility. It does not mean that your life is over. It doesn't mean that God doesn't have a plan and a purpose for your life as well, but it means that your role in this life has significantly changed. And so we have to believe that that old life that we are grieving, that God has a better life plan for us, and that if we release what we believed was going to be our life pre-motherhood and accept this new life that we have as mothers, then we'll be able to transition and have this good life. It looks different, but it's still a good life to embrace this new life that God has given us as mothers. So next, we have some reflections, and it's based on those verses that we just read. And this is just to reiterate what I said. When you become a mother, you die to yourself and the plans you have for your life. This is loss that you need to grieve. So even though there is a better life ahead waiting for you, in this moment, you still need to grieve those losses. And so here are some questions that you can also reflect on. Do you believe that God still has great plans for your life? Do you believe that your life still has value? Do you believe that this new life as a mother can be better than the old life you planned for you? So once again, grab that journal, write those down because those are questions that we need to reflect on and be truthful, be honest. This is a place where you don't want to hide how you feel. You don't want to mask any of those emotions. You need to just let it all out. Because once you're truthful and once you're able to express those difficult emotions, then that makes room for you to receive those healthy emotions and those healthy words of positivity and encouragement. It helps you to acceptance. Remember, that's part of our grieving process, that final stage. It helps us to get towards that acceptance that is needed for us to continue to progress in our lives in our new roles as mothers. All right, so remember about joy. Joy is our remedy for grief. Why? Because joy is the emotion of great happiness. It is the feeling of happiness or joy. And so Nehemiah 8:10, and do not be worried, mothers, for the joy of the Lord is your strength and your stronghold. So remember that joy covers both those feelings and it covers emotions. And so those emotions, those things that we are not on our, that are not in our awareness, we are not conscious of those things yet because we have to do that work to bring them to the surface. And it also covers those emotions that we are aware of. All right, so we have our affirmations for grieving mothers. So I want you to repeat these. It is safe for me to feel emotion. I give myself permission to feel emotions. I give myself permission to grieve the losses I have experienced in my life. I give myself permission to receive help during this transition to motherhood. Mothers, it is okay to receive help. You are not less than because you need help. Your responsibilities, your duties have increased, and so you need help. I am equipped to raise the child or the children God has given me. Everything you need to raise those children is on the inside of you. And remember that God is your help. God, these children belong to God. So don't ever think that you're alone. When you need help, when you need direction, when you need guidance on how to raise your children, go to the Creator. He created you and He created them. You can get instructions. I give myself permission to learn and grow in my new role as a mother. Listen, you've never done this before. And if you have multiple children, you know that each child is different. So even when you believe that you've mastered something with one child, it may be totally different for another child. So give yourself permission to learn and grow in your new role as a mother. And most importantly to me, I give myself permission to disconnect from people who disturb my peace. Listen, we all need people who are able to speak into our lives, who are able to correct us, who are able to give direction. We have to know those people from the people who just want to disturb our peace and who just want to cause confusion and chaos. We have to know the difference. This is a pivotal moment in your life. And quite honestly, not everyone, you don't, everyone's voice does not need to be in your ear during this time. It is a very vulnerable time. It is a very challenging time to transition in this new role as mother. If you're married, this transition with your spouse. And so you need to be connected to healthy people, people who want to stay married, people who want to be great mothers and who are willing to do the work that is necessary to change. All right. So here's a prayer for mothers with grief. Father, I am sorry for making grief bigger than you. I choose to release every worry, emotion, and concern to you. I receive your joy that is my strength to carry me through difficult times. Help me to see myself the way you see me. Help me to know I have everything I need on the inside of me to successfully raise the children you have blessed me with. Thank you for loving me with an everlasting love. I trust that your love will correct and guide me through every part of my motherhood journey. The emotions I experience through grief will not overtake me because I remain in your presence. Amen. And so I want to give you an opportunity once again to purchase my best-selling co-authored book, which I am a co-author of, Good Grief. It is 14 inspiring stories of finding the goodness in grief. Specifically, my chapter is me, motherhood, and grief. So I touch on some of these aspects of myself, of motherhood, and of grief, which was our topic today. Because as I said, I was not aware that as a mother, I needed to grieve these losses that come with my transition into my new role as a mother. And so we are a best-selling book. I am a best-selling author, and I want to give you this opportunity to have this resource for yourself, for your family, for your women's groups, your mom groups. Um, Listen, I believe it'll be a blessing to the world. And so, please, if you're interested in ordering a book for yourself or for others, you can email me at tiara@mothersmentalhealthmovement.com, and I will be happy to get that order in for you. All right, so that is it for today. As always, I want to invite you to follow me on social media. Let's connect. I am on Facebook, I am on Instagram, and I am on Clubhouse. And so I want to invite you to join my Facebook community, Restore Hearts TV, where we talk about um, the shows, the episodes from week to week. It's our place where we can come and talk about those different topics from week to week. And specifically for my mothers, I have a group, Mothers Mental Health Movement. And this group, this community is for women, for mothers who want to help support each other socially, emotionally, and to just provide that safe community for us to be able to talk about those difficult subjects that come towards us, that come to us as mothers. Like we said, there's so many losses that we feel as a result of stepping into our new role as a mother. And sometimes you just need someone to talk to that you can relate to. And so that is what this community is all about. So I am inviting my mothers to join this community. I want to do a mentorship program for my young mothers, my mothers who are postpartum and have children from ages 0 to 2. And so I will be telling you and giving you more information about that soon. And so I am so excited about everything that is going on, everything that is transpiring. I'm so excited about Restore Hearts TV and what this will do in healing our hearts and helping our communities to take power and authority of our mental health wellness. And thank you for joining me today. Thank you for tuning into this episode. I can't wait to see you next week as we talk about our next topic. And so I love you, and I will see you next week.
Thank you for watching this episode of Restore Heart TD.
Life is a journey, and there are many moments. Some moments are smooth. You flow through them effortlessly. There are other moments when life's challenges interrupt your momentum, yet you find the strength to get back on track, to keep moving. So even if you have to crawl to make it there, do it, because victory belongs to you. You are equipped to handle every part of the journey. You were created to overcome this. Don't give up. I love you.